It started with a scream. Not the kind you'd expect in a middle school classroom. No shriek of excitement, no startled giggle from a prank gone wrong. This was different. Sharp, guttural, raw. It cut through the hallway like a blade. In room 207, kids froze mid-sentence, their chatter evaporating into stunned silence. And at the center of it all stood Mr. Collins, new teacher, pressed shirt, tie knotted just a little too tight, staring wide-eyed at the German shepherd lunging at him. Rex, the school's visiting canine dog, didn't bark like he usually did during safety drills. This time it was a full-throttle snarl, teeth bared, eyes locked on Mr. Collins as if the man himself was a ticking bomb. And in a flash, before anyone could react, Rex leapt forward and bit into Mr. Collins's arm. A gasp rippled through the classroom. Books hit the floor. Desks scraped back. One girl in the front row dropped her pencil and clapped her hands over her mouth. The school security officer lunged for Rex, yelling, "Heel, Rex, heel!" But the dog wouldn't let go. Then, something unexpected happened, something no one could have predicted. As Rex's teeth sank into the fabric of Mr. Collins's sleeve, a small metal cylinder tumbled from the cuff of his shirt, clinking onto the floor like the roll of a loaded dice. Everyone stared. The object rolled in a slow, mocking spiral and came to a stop at the feet of a sixth grader named Jamie. Silence swallowed the room. Mr. Collins scrambled, his hands shaking, trying to snatch it up. His face had gone pale, an unnatural clammy white that drained the color from his lips. His voice, usually so calm and rehearsed, cracked as he stammered, It's just a pill case. Nothing to worry about, kids." But nobody believed him. Rex growled low, almost vibrating, refusing to back down. His handler, Officer Martinez, struggled to restrain him, pulling back on the leash with both hands. The dog's hackles were up, his entire body tense like a coiled spring, eyes fixed on Mr. Collins's pocket like a predator locking onto its prey. It was Jamie who spoke first, his voice barely above a whisper. "Why would a teacher hide pills? Up his sleeve?" Mr. Collins's eyes darted to Jamie, then to the other students, then to the security cameras blinking silently from the corners of the ceiling. His breath hitched. He seemed trapped like a cornered animal, calculating his next move. In that moment, no one realized this was just the beginning of something far darker. The secret wasn't in the pill case alone. It ran deeper, tangled in the walls of the school itself. But for now, there was only confusion. The principal was called. The students were ushered out of the room. Mr. Collins tried to laugh it off, claiming it was a misunderstanding, but the tension in the air was thick, like the static before a storm. Outside the classroom, kids whispered furiously in the hallway. Some swore they'd seen other strange things, Collins talking in hushed tones on his phone, always carrying a locked briefcase, sometimes disappearing into the old storage room in the basement. Rumors sparked like wildfire, and soon the school buzzed with questions no one could answer. Halfway down the hall, Officer Martinez knelt beside Rex, stroking his head, trying to calm him down. The dog panted heavily, still on high alert, his eyes never leaving Mr. Collins, as if he knew something no human could sense. And maybe he did. Hey friends, if you're as captivated by stories like this, where heroic animals uncover hidden truths, don't forget to subscribe to Brave. Animals on YouTube. We bring you real stories of canine heroes, animal rescues, and the secrets they help uncover. Subscribe now to never miss a Back in Room 207. The janitor was sweeping up the mess when he found something strange under Jamie's desk. A folded piece of paper, crumpled and torn at the edges, as if it had been stuffed away in a hurry. The janitor handed it to the principal, who glanced at it and frowned. The note was scribbled in messy, almost frantic handwriting. "They're watching us. Don't trust the new guy." The words seemed to pulse on the page, a message from someone who knew more than they dared to say. That night, Rex lay in his kennel, restless. His ears twitched at every sound. He had sensed something off about Mr. Collins. The way he smelled, the jitter in his movements, the chemical tinge clinging to his clothes. Rex couldn't speak, but he felt it in his bones. The threat wasn't over, not by a long shot. In the quiet dark, as the school lights dimmed and the halls emptied, a shadow moved in the basement. A figure, silent, deliberate, slipped through, the door marked maintenance only, carrying a small case identical to the one Rex had exposed. Whatever was inside, it wasn't meant to be found. And the question hanging in the air was simple. How deep did this rabbit hole go? And what was Mr. Collins really doing at this school? The next morning, the school seemed almost too quiet. The usual hum of chatter in the hallways was replaced by low murmurs, glances exchanged between students like they were sharing some invisible secret. Whispers of what had happened in room 207 the day before spread like wildfire, each retelling more dramatic than the last. Rex bit him because he smelled something weird, Jamie told his friend Tyler at their lockers. No, I heard Mr. Collins had some kind of vial in his sleeve. Like a spy, another kid whispered. Someone else chimed in. Maybe he's part of some secret government thing like MK Ultra or whatever. Adults tried to keep things normal, but the tension lingered in the air, sticky and unsettling. The teachers held an emergency staff meeting behind closed doors. Principal Harris, a no-nonsense woman with a reputation for running a tight ship, paced the front of the room, her brow furrowed. Whatever happened yesterday, we have to get in front of it, she said firmly, her voice steady. The last thing we need is panic. Mr. Collins says it was just a misunderstanding, but we're going to monitor the situation closely. Meanwhile, Officer Martinez couldn't shake the feeling in his gut. He sat in the staff lounge, sipping coffee, staring at Rex, who lay at his feet, eyes alert. The dog had been on edge all morning, ears twitching, tail stiff. Martinez muttered to himself, "What did you smell, boy? What's got you so riled up?" He glanced down at the crumpled report form from the previous day. Rex bit Mr. Collins. Minor injury, cause unclear. It didn't sit right. K9s like Rex didn't bite without a reason. They were trained to detect drugs, explosives, even the scent of fear. If Rex had reacted like that, it wasn't random. Just before lunch, Martinez made a decision. He headed down the hallway toward room 207. Inside the classroom, Mr. Collins was teaching like nothing had happened. He stood at the whiteboard, writing out a chemistry equation, his back straight, voice even. But there was a tightness in his jaw, a stiffness in his posture that hadn't been there before. As Martinez opened the door, Collins glanced up, just a flicker of surprise in his eyes. "Officer Martinez," he said smoothly, a smile flickering onto his face. "What can I do for you?" Rex followed close behind, sniffing the air the moment they entered. His nose twitched and he let out a low whine as he crept toward the teacher's desk. Collins shifted subtly, almost imperceptibly, placing a hand on the desk as if to block the dog's path. "I'm just here for a quick check," Martinez said, casually, but his eyes were sharp. "Safety protocols. You know how it is." "Of course," Collins replied, but his voice sounded tight. His knuckles whitened as he gripped the edge of the desk. Rex let out a sharp bark, startling everyone in the room. Several kids jumped in their seats. Collins tried to laugh it off, but the sound was thin, strained. "Just not a fan of dogs, I guess," he said, but sweat had broken out along his hairline. Jamie, sitting near the front, watched closely. There was something off about Mr. Collins, something that sent a chill down his spine. Later that afternoon, Jamie couldn't shake the memory of the note he'd found under his desk the day before. "They're watching us. Don't trust the new guy." It wasn't just a prank, he was sure of it. That night, Jamie sat at his desk at home staring at the note. The words burned into his mind. He thought about telling his mom, but she'd just worry and probably call the school. He needed more proof. So he did what any kid would do. He Googled. He searched Mr. Collins's name, scrolling past boring profiles and LinkedIn pages, until something odd caught his eye. A blurry news article from 2 years ago. Biotech lab employee terminated after alleged breach of ethics policy. The article was thin on details. No photos, no full names. Just the initials MC and a vague reference to unauthorized testing. Jamie's heart pounded in his chest. He leaned closer, reading the words over and over, the implications sinking in. What was Mr. Collins doing here? And why did Rex, the dog trained to sniff out danger, react like that? The next morning, Martinez arrived at school early before the students. He made his way to the security office and sat down to review the hallway cameras from the previous afternoon. He rewound the footage, watching Mr. Collins's movements frame by frame. There, just after class, Collins ducked into the basement level. He wasn't supposed to be there. Martinez's pulse quickened. He clicked on the timestamp. In the dim, grainy video, Collins glanced over his shoulder and then slipped into a door marked Maintenance Access, Authorized Personnel Only. Martinez frowned. That room hadn't been used in years, except for old storage. Rex, lying at his feet, growled softly as the footage played. The dog's ears pricked up, his body tense. Martinez looked down. "You know something, don't you, boy?" Rex's eyes locked on the screen. Martinez's gut told him they were onto something. Something bigger than a teacher hiding a pill case. Something dangerous. And somewhere, in the dark underbelly of the school, secrets were waiting to be uncovered. Officer Martinez couldn't sleep that night. The footage replayed in his mind like a bad movie. Mr. Collins slipping into the old maintenance room, that tight, nervous look on his face, the way he clutched that small metal case like it held the key to something no one else should see. At dawn, Martinez found himself back in his patrol SUV parked outside the school long before the first buses rolled in. The fog hung low over the soccer field, a thin, gray mist that seemed to shroud the whole building in secrecy. Rex sat in the passenger seat, ears perked, eyes bright, his body coiled like a spring. He could feel it too. Something wasn't right. When Principal Harris arrived, Martinez caught her in the parking lot. "Got a minute?" he asked, keeping his voice low. She glanced at him, tired lines etched into her face. "Morning, officer. I hope this isn't about that incident yesterday. I've already got 3 emails from the district asking for a report." Martinez shook his head. "This is about the basement. I reviewed the footage. Collins went down there, late afternoon. It's not on his schedule, and no staff has clearance for that room." Harris frowned, arms crossed. "That room hasn't been used in years. Just old equipment and files." Martinez looked her square in the eye. "Then we should check it. Out." They headed down together, Martinez with Rex leading the way. The door to the maintenance access room was locked, but the lock was old, one twist with a master key, and it clicked open. A musty, stale air spilled out as they pushed inside. The room was dim, lit only by a flickering fluorescent bulb in the corner. Metal shelves lined the walls stacked with dusty boxes, broken chairs, and forgotten science fair posters from a decade ago. But Rex didn't care about any of that. The dog bolted straight to the far corner, nose down, tail stiff. He barked, sharp, urgent sound, and started pawing at a metal cabinet bolted to the wall. Martinez's pulse spiked. He and Harris exchanged a glance. Martinez pulled on the cabinet handle, but it was locked. Harris leaned in, her voice tight. "Let me call the district before we—" Before she could finish, Rex let out a growl, deep, guttural, dangerous. Martinez made a decision. He stepped back, braced his shoulder, and slammed into the cabinet door. It buckled, the latch snapping. Off with a metallic crack. The door swung open. Inside was a small black duffel bag. Martinez unzipped it slowly, and there it was. Rows of small vials, neatly lined up like soldiers, each labeled with a code, X23, X24, X25. Some were half full, of a pale blue liquid, others sealed tight. A small tablet device sat on top of the bag, its screen still glowing. A list of names displayed. Student names. Martinez's stomach dropped. Harris leaned in, her face blanching. "What the hell is this?" Before either could speak, a voice echoed from the doorway. "Step away from that," Mr. Collins said, his voice low, cold. He stood there, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. Martinez shifted, subtly stepping in front of Harris. Rex growled again, low and threatening, every muscle in his body tight. "Mr. Collins," Harris started, her voice shaking. We need to call. The police. I am the police, Collins snapped, the words laced with a strange authority. Or at least, I was, until they cut the funding. I had to continue the work somehow. Martinez's gut twisted. The work? He echoed, trying to keep his voice calm. Collins smiled thinly. Behavioral modification, early-stage testing. Harmless, really. Just a little cognitive enhancement for the students. You wouldn't believe how much potential is wasted in these kids. His hand drifted toward his pocket. Rex tensed. Martinez followed the movement. Collins's fingers wrapped around a small injector pen half concealed by his jacket. Put it down, Martinez warned, voice low, steady. Collins's smile faded. I can't do that. Rex lunged. The room erupted into chaos, Rex barking, Collins yelling, Harris gasping. The injector fell to the floor and skittered under the shelves as Rex tackled Collins to the ground, his teeth snapping just inches from Collins's arm. Martinez moved fast, pulling. Rex back and slapping cuffs on Collins's wrists, pinning him to the cold concrete floor. You're done, Martinez hissed, voice tight. Collins just laughed, a strange, hollow sound. It's too late. You don't understand what you've stopped. Later that afternoon, the school was in lockdown. The district sent in a team to collect the evidence, and a hazmat crew arrived to secure the vials. Martinez sat outside the school on the tailgate of his SUV, Rex lying next to him, tongue out, tail wagging slowly, as if sensing the danger had passed. For now. Harris approached, her expression tight. You and Rex saved a lot of lives today. Martinez nodded, scratching behind Rex's ears. He knew something none of us did. Good boy. Across the street, Jamie watched from the sidewalk, his backpack slung over one shoulder. He felt the weight of the crumpled note in his pocket, its words echoing in his mind. They're watching us. Don't trust the new guy. He shivered. Some secrets, it seemed, were meant to stay buried. But with Rex on the case, they wouldn't stay hidden for long. 2 days had passed since the lockdown and the school was still reeling. The news had spread beyond the town. Local teacher arrested in secret drug operation at middle school. Blaring. Across TV screens, radio stations, and social media feeds, parents flooded the school board with calls demanding answers. Teachers looked at one another with wide-eyed disbelief, whispering in the staff lounge like they were living inside a true crime documentary. But the strangest thing? Mr. Collins wasn't saying much. During his interrogation, he clammed up, repeating only that cryptic line. It's bigger than me. You stopped the test, but you didn't stop the program. Officer Martinez couldn't let it go. He sat in the precinct late into the night, flipping through the files, Collins's employment records, lab reports, the coded vials, and it all led to a dead end. There was no company name on the tablet. The codes didn't match any known drug registries. It felt like they'd stumbled onto a thread of something far bigger, and no one else seemed to care. Rex paced restlessly at his feet, his nails clicking against the linoleum floor, ears pricked toward every creak and footstep. Martinez reached down and rubbed the dog's head. What are we missing, boy? He murmured. Rex licked his hand, but his eyes stayed sharp, focused on the file like he was waiting for it to reveal its secrets. The next morning, Martinez returned to the school, unannounced. Principal Harris met him at the door, holding a cup of coffee with shaking hands. Are you sure this is safe? She asked, glancing nervously at the security cameras. Martinez nodded. I'm not here to stir things up, just following a hunch. Rex trotted beside him, his tail low, head moving back and forth as if he could already sense the echoes of whatever Collins had left behind. They made their way down the hallway, past rows of lockers and faded motivational posters, toward the old maintenance room. The caution tape had been taken down, but the air still smelled off, a faint chemical tang, like the aftertaste of burnt plastic. Martinez unlocked the door and the three of them stepped inside. The shelves were empty now. District officials had swept the room clean, but Rex wasn't looking at the shelves. He was staring at the far wall, nose twitching. Martinez frowned. What do you smell, buddy? Rex let out a sharp bark and pawed at the baseboard. It was subtle, but Martinez could see it now. A thin seam in the wall, almost invisible unless you knew to look for it. "Get me a flashlight," he said. Harris handed it over, and Martinez ran the beam along the wall. He tapped gently. "Hollow. Hidden. Compartment," Martinez muttered. With a crowbar from a nearby utility closet, he pried at the seam. The panel popped loose with a groan, revealing a small, dark space behind the wall. Inside was a battered metal box. Martinez slid it out slowly, heart pounding. It was heavier than it looked, and when he opened it, the contents made his breath catch. Stacks of files, yellowed and creased, labeled in block letters. Project Libra, Phase 2. Harris whispered, "What the hell?" Martinez's hands trembled as he flipped through the papers. They were research logs, data tables, brain scans, even photographs of children in hospital gowns. Notes scribbled in the margins mentioned terms like cognitive reprogramming and behavioral conditioning. A chill ran down his spine. These weren't just experiments on random volunteers. These were trials on kids. His fingers stopped on one page, a roster of names. His stomach sank as he recognized several. Jamie Parker, Tyler McKenzie, Emily Rowe. Students at the school. Martinez felt the walls of the room closing in. He turned to Harris, who looked like she might faint. "How long was this going on?" he asked, his voice low, steady but sharp. She shook her head, her face pale. "I had no idea. I swear." Rex barked again, turning his head toward the door. Footsteps. Martinez tensed, stepping in front of the hidden files just as someone appeared in the doorway. It was Jamie, clutching his backpack tight to his chest, eyes wide. I saw you come in," Jamie stammered. "And I thought maybe you found something." Martinez's heart softened for a moment. This kid had been right all along. He crouched down to Jamie's level. "Jamie, listen to me. You were brave to come forward, but you need to stay safe, okay? Let the adults handle this." Jamie nodded, but the look on his face told a different story, a spark of determination. He wasn't going to let this go. That night, Martinez sat at his kitchen table, the files spread out in front of him. Rex lay nearby, his eyes half closed, but his ears still twitching. The deeper Martinez read, the more the picture sharpened. Project Libra wasn't just about Collins. It was a larger network, a program funded by a shadowy private organization, operating under the radar, embedding agents like Collins into public schools across the country. They were testing drugs, monitoring responses, and keeping detailed logs. It was chilling, and it wasn't over. Martinez knew this wasn't a story he could keep to himself. He picked up his phone, hesitating for a breath before dialing. "FBI Field Office, San Diego. What's your emergency?" Martinez took a deep breath. "My name's Officer Daniel Martinez. I think I just uncovered something you need to see." Rex let out a low, almost satisfied growl, as if he knew the fight wasn't over. Not yet. But they were ready. By the time the FBI agents arrived, the sun had already dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the quiet streets of the neighborhood. Martinez stood at the edge of the school parking lot, watching the unmarked SUVs pull in, their tires crunching over the gravel. Rex sat at his side, alert, tail flicking in slow, steady sweeps like a metronome of tension. Two agents stepped out, one in a navy suit with an earpiece, the other in a plain gray blazer, her face sharp and focused. They approached Martinez. With practiced calm, badges flashed, no smiles. "Officer Martinez? I'm Special Agent Reed, and this is Agent Dawson," the man in the suit said. "We got your call. You said you uncovered sensitive material?" Martinez nodded, handing over the metal box from the hidden compartment like it was radioactive. "You're gonna want to see this, and there's more. I've got a list of students. Some of them are already showing symptoms." His voice tightened at the last word. Reed took the box, flipping through the files with a frown. Dawson scanned the papers quickly, her eyes narrowing. "Where did you get this?" she asked sharply. "Maintenance room, behind a wall panel, and it's not just paperwork. The man we arrested, Mr. Collins, he was part of something bigger, a program. We've got vials of experimental drugs, too. Reed and Dawson exchanged a glance. Brief, but something passed between them. Martinez caught it. The kind of look that says this isn't news to us. Martinez's stomach sank. You already knew, he said quietly. Reed didn't answer directly. Instead, he spoke in a measured tone, like reading off a script. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. We'll take it from here. But Martinez wasn't done. These are kids. My kids. You can't just sweep this under the rug. Dawson's expression softened for a moment, but Reed cut in before she could speak. Officer, I need you to understand. There are layers to this that you don't have. Clearance for. We'll handle it. Martinez clenched his jaw. He wasn't about to back down, but Rex's low growl drew his attention. The dog's hackles were up, eyes fixed on a black sedan parked across the street, engine running. Martinez turned just as the car peeled out, tires squealing. Reed barely glanced over. Ignore it. Just concerned parents, probably. But Martinez knew better. That wasn't a concerned parent, that was a tail. Someone was watching them. The next morning, Martinez found a folded note slipped under his front door. No signature, no name, just 5 words in sharp, blocky letters. Drop it, for your own good. He stared at it for a long time, heart pounding. Rex sat at his feet, ears perked, eyes sharp. Martinez ran his fingers through the dog's fur, a silent pact passing between them. He wasn't backing down. At the school, the atmosphere had shifted. The kids seemed on edge. Jamie, in particular, was withdrawn, glancing over his shoulder constantly as if expecting someone to grab him from behind. Martinez caught up with him in the hallway. Jamie, you okay? Jamie hesitated, then pulled Martinez aside, whispering, fast and low. I think someone's been in my house. My mom didn't notice anything, but my backpack was in a different spot. And my laptop, it was open. I didn't leave it like that. Martinez's pulse spiked. You need to stay with your mom, okay? Lock the doors. If you see anyone hanging around, call me. Got it? Jamie nodded, but the fear in his eyes lingered. That night, Martinez sat in his kitchen, files spread across the table again, notes scribbled in the margins. He was piecing it together, the program's timeline, the list of students, the coded drug vials. Rex lay nearby, but his head snapped up as a sudden noise cut through the silence, a soft, deliberate tap on the window. Martinez froze. He moved toward the window slowly, heart in his throat. Peeking through the blinds, he saw the silhouette of a figure across the street. The person stood just beyond the pool of light from the street lamp, their face obscured, posture unnervingly casual. Rex growled low, a warning in his throat. The figure raised a hand, not to wave, but almost like a taunt, and then turned, disappearing into the shadows. Martinez's skin crawled. The next day, Martinez brought the files to Harris's office. She looked exhausted, her hands trembling as she skimmed the papers. This is too big for us, she whispered. Martinez nodded. We need to make noise, go public, media, parents, everyone. Harris hesitated, fear etched into her face. If we go public, what if they come after the kids? Martinez's voice hardened. If we don't, they'll never stop. That afternoon, as classes let out, Jamie walked to the edge of the parking lot, glancing around nervously. A black SUV idled at the curb. The windows were tinted, the engine running low and smooth. The rear window rolled down just a crack. A man's voice drifted out, smooth, calm, too casual for the weight it carried. Hey, Jamie, your mom's waiting for you. Come on. Jamie's stomach twisted. Rex appeared out of nowhere, barking ferociously, placing himself between Jamie and the SUV. Martinez sprinted over, his heart slamming in his chest. The SUV sped off with a squeal of tires, disappearing into the traffic. Martinez dropped to one knee, grabbing Jamie by the shoulders. Listen to me, he said, his voice firm but kind. You are not safe alone. If you see that car again, if you hear that voice, you run. You find an adult. You find
Me got it.
Jamie nodded, tears in his eyes, and clung to Rex like the dog was the only solid thing in the world. Back at the station, Martinez stared at the files, at the photo of Mr. Collins in the arrest report, at the list of students. He looked at Rex, who sat faithfully at his side, as if waiting for his cue. "They're still out there," Martinez whispered. "This isn't over." Rex's ears twitched, his gaze sharp. He seemed to agree. The days that followed were a blur for Martinez. Every moment felt like a tug-of-war between duty and fear, between doing the right thing and protecting the kids who had no idea how close they'd come to being used as pawns in a twisted game. The FBI had taken the files, but Martinez wasn't sure if they were investigating or covering up. The agents had stopped returning his calls. Principal Harris had received a carefully worded email from the district instructing her to remain silent and not engage the media. The whole thing smelled like a lid being clamped down, tight and fast. But the one thing they hadn't counted, Rex. The German Shepherd was restless, pacing the house, nose in the air like he could still smell the fear clinging to the walls. Martinez knew that feeling too well. It was in his gut, in the way he glanced over his shoulder when he left the station, in the tight grip he kept on his coffee mug during morning briefings. He wasn't ready to let it go. A week later, the break came, unexpected and sudden. Martinez had been reviewing the files again, poring over the student list, the lab notes, the coded labels, X23, X24, X25. It all felt like noise until a detail caught his eye. The coding wasn't random. The X wasn't for experiment. It was a location tag. Xavier Medical, a private research facility just outside the city, registered under a shell corporation. A place that, on paper, didn't exist. Rex let out a sharp bark when Martinez said the name aloud, as if the dog could sense the shift in the air. Martinez's heart pounded. This was it. The missing piece. That night, under the cover of darkness, Martinez parked his car down the block from the facility. It was a sleek modern building, cold and clinical with frosted glass windows and a tall security fence. Rex sat in the passenger seat, ears alert, eyes locked on the front gate. Martinez took a deep breath. He wasn't going in guns blazing. This wasn't a movie. But he could watch. He could listen. He could be the fly on the wall they didn't expect. From the shadows, he saw men in suits coming and going, carrying cases just like the one he'd found at the school. And when one of them stepped into the light, Martinez's blood ran cold. It was Collins. Free. Smiling. Shaking hands with another man in a tailored suit, like he hadn't just been arrested days ago for endangering kids. Martinez's grip on the steering wheel tightened. Rex let out a low growl. They were all in on it. Martinez made a decision right then. He couldn't trust the system to handle this. Not the FBI. Not the school district. It was on him. The next day, he called a meeting. Parents, teachers, community leaders, all packed into the school gym. Martinez stood at the front, the files laid out behind him like a grim museum display. He spoke calmly, clearly, telling the truth piece by piece. The hidden drugs, the secret experiments, the names of the kids who had been targeted, the facility, the agents who had tried to silence him. Gasps filled the room. Parents clutched their kids close. Teachers exchanged horrified looks. Principal Harris sat in the front row, her hands trembling but her eyes shining with something Martinez hadn't seen before. Courage. Jamie sat near the back, his backpack hugged tight to his chest, a small smile creeping onto his face. They were listening. Finally. Later that night, Martinez sat on his porch, the weight of it all finally settling in. The moon was high, casting a pale glow over the neighborhood. Rex lay at his feet, head resting on his paws, but his eyes stayed sharp, as if ready for whatever came next. Martinez sipped his coffee, watching the quiet street, feeling the calm that comes after a storm. He knew there would be fallout. There always was. But for now, the kids were safe, the community was awake, and the truth was out. Thank you so much for following this story with us. It's a reminder that sometimes the people we trust the most might not have our best interests at heart, but there's always someone, like Rex, ready to stand up for what's right. What would you do if you uncovered a secret like this in your own community? Would you speak up even if it meant putting yourself in danger?